Hey, Coach John Tubiolo here. If you have not already, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and so that way you're contacted each and every time that we release a brand new video. Today, this video, I want to talk about objections, right? Objections out of my book, Successful Selling Made Simple. It's available on Amazon.com. You can go get a copy of that. You can actually, if you're a Kindle or an Amazon Prime member and you have that Kindle Plus thing, you can actually get the book and download it and check it out for free. So please go do that. But objections, right? I hear a lot of people out there struggling, especially newer salespeople struggling with objections. Guys, when I was first started out in the sales business, I was taught that objections are the stepping stones to making a sale, right? They're a necessary evil. You have to go through the objections in order to get the sale. I really believe, though, that as I've matured in the sales process or in selling in my career and doing this for over 25 years, selling or objections anyway in selling are simply the lack of information that a customer has about your product or service that keeps them from making a buying decision. So I believe that objections are one of those things that stop people from buying because you didn't give them enough information to make a buying decision. Right? And it could be, well, it costs too much, or I don't have any money. I need to think about it. I need to talk to my spouse. I'm not the decision maker, on and on and on. It doesn't fit in my timing. Whatever that objection is or that reason not to buy is, it's because you didn't give them enough information and gather enough information to kind of understand what it is the customer really wants. And that really hits home with qualifying. Why we need to qualify the customer, right? What do we need to know in order to close the sale? But objections, do not internalize objections and take them personally, right? A rejection or an objection is not personal. But you can use objections to get better at presenting. You want to get better at presenting, then you have to start taking the objections that you hear, sculpting them into your presentation and handling them on the front end so that they aren't brought up on the back end. And I'll give you an example of this. One of the techniques that I teach in the qualifying questions that we ask is, the second most important question that I always ask every single customer is, how soon are you looking at taking advantage of this? Or how soon would you be willing to get something done? Or are you interested in getting something done? And the reason that I ask that question is at the end, they can't say, well, I need to think about it. Well, what's there to think about? You had a time frame. I'm talking about building into a time frame. So what is the time frame they were talking about here? You said 2 weeks. Why do you need 2 weeks to think about it when it takes 2 weeks to implement what I'm about to present to you or what I've already presented to you? So important information that I ask on the front end so I can turn that around and not have that become an objection on the back end. Well, you said you wanted to do this in 2 weeks. I'm booking 2 weeks out right now. Why are you not taking advantage of this today? In order for me to fit your time frame versus my availability, I'm looking at you to make a decision. But objections need to be handled and they need to be sculpted in a presentation. One of the things that I talk about when we talk about price objection is that you need to present other alternatives or other pricing structures for similar products and services that may be available that you are selling against, right? It's that 3 option selling, right? You have A, B, and C, right? Or 1, 2, and 3, good, better, best, right? So when I present an option, I always say, look, you can go with company X. They're going to have this, but they're not going to be able to do X, Y, Z for you. Now, this other one, which is a more premier product, may do X, Y, and Z, but it's going to be substantially more money. It's going to cost you a lot more money in order for you to do that. Is that what you're willing to do? Because if it is, then you can't come back and say price is an objection for mine because I'm right at the middle. I fall under this category. Here's my price point. These are all the things that we're going to solve for you. When you are ready to move into another product line and ready to spend a lot more money, which are probably services that you don't need at this particular time, then I will either have something for you or you can make that option or that leap to that other option. But why would you spend all of this money and get more than what you need, less money to get some of what you need? Or why don't you let me handle all of your needs right now at this price. And that takes away the price objection. But if you don't talk about that in your presentation or during your presentation, then yeah, price is going to come up at the end. And anytime you're dealing with objections at the end, it is my belief that all you're doing is justifying. And when you start getting into justify selling, you're going to lose every single time. All you're doing then is beating up the customer, and you really become a salesperson rather than a consultant. So I want you to remain a consultant, not necessarily a salesperson, right? One of the things that I loved about Tom Hopkins says, I don't push people into sales, I pull them toward the sale. And I really believe that's the way you need to be. It's educational, pulling the customer toward what you want them to get involved in, toward your solution to their problem versus pushing them into something. Right? There's a time to push, and I do believe and I do coach about sometimes when we have to push the customer to making a decision, but overall, you want to pull them towards you, educate them, feed them. So objections are not something to be afraid of. There's something to embrace. There's something to love, right? And when we deal with objections routinely or constantly, we need to sculpt our presentation so that we're meeting those objections head on early in the process, not at the end of the process, early in the process so that they don't ever become the reason they don't buy at the end. That's a little bit about what an objection is, how do we kind of frame the objections, and not to be afraid of objections. I'm going to talk about the price objection in another video that we're going to be putting out called, What Do You Mean My Price Is Too High? And that's going to be coming out as well. Hey, during this time, I've got a lot of time on my hands to put out a lot of great content and video. Remember, hit that bell notification, hit the subscribe button so you can be the first to get these videos. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Have a great day. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.